Hey guys, Zen here, and today we're getting into some more Rainbow Six Siege updates, of course, but we're also going to speak about the highly anticipated Rainbow Six Quarantine, and if you're someone concerned with the current state of Rainbow Six Siege, then you may want to be aware of the all-out war Ubisoft have announced recently. Now, this video is sponsored by my friends over at NVIDIA, and so in this video, we're going to be playing some Rainbow Six Siege through the NVIDIA GeForce Now platform, which is their flagship streaming service that allows you to play the games you currently own on almost any device. So, NVIDIA GeForce Now essentially transforms any Windows PC, Mac, NVIDIA Shield, or even Android device into a high-powered PC and handles all of the processing power through a GPU in the cloud. Once you download the app, you're brought to the interface, which is simple and easy to use, and all you've got to do is connect your Steam, Uplay, or Epic Games account, and you can start playing the games you already own at a buttery smooth 1080p 60 frames per second, thanks to NVIDIA's cloud gaming servers. Now, there's hundreds of games available on the NVIDIA GeForce Now platform, including some of the biggest free-to-play games, and so even if you don't have many of your own, you can just boot it up and look through some of your favorites. To get started, search for your game in the NVIDIA GeForce Now app and add it to your library. I've already got Siege through Uplay, and so just sign into your Ubisoft account and hit play. Now, personally, I was surprised how well NVIDIA GeForce Now actually works. I didn't experience any lag. The game was running super smooth on an older gaming laptop that I tried it on, and if you really want to sweat it out, they offer a competitive streaming quality that bumps the frames all the way up to 120 frames per second, which is something a lot of home PCs struggle to hit in very intensive games like Rainbow Six Siege. Now, if you guys want to check it out, they have a couple of membership options, the first of which is completely free. You'll get standard server access, and there's also the Founders Plan that gives you priority server access, and on top of that, you'll get games with RTX on, which is literally game-changing and a powerful feature that only the latest GPUs have. So right now, NVIDIA is offering limited time pricing of $4.99 for the Founders membership, and so if you guys are interested in checking out NVIDIA GeForce Now, click the link at the top of the description and start streaming your games today. All right, so guys, the first order of business has to be the fact that Ubisoft and the developers of Rainbow Six Siege have declared war against the current cheating and hacking issue that's been going on, and this is the first time I've ever heard the studio take this kind of stance on the matter. So they begin by admitting that this is a never-ending battle. No matter what they implement in the game as far as defenses, the cheats and exploits will eventually catch up, and new measures will need to be put in place, and the cycle will just continue. Now, I think this is an important note here, because obviously there are some who want a completely cheater-free environment, but ultimately that will never be the case, and so Ubisoft does kind of have to level out here and make it known that this is a never-ending battle against this stuff. Now, the most eye-opening thing of all of this is the unspoken black market behind these cheats, and this problem runs deep. What you and I deal with in-game is the end result, the person hacking and causing grief throughout the match. But before this, that cheater was sold the script or macro from a third party. Before it was sold, it was developed by what is called a cheat developer, and the way the developer makes a successful hack is by getting early intel on a new patch by a scout, so the cheat can be ready even before new content is released. It is literally a war, and like any other war, there will be casualties, which in this case is some missing or rolled back MMR. But as Siege gains popularity, more of the black market expands, and guys, there are some pretty easy ways to hide this to the public, and so just saying some of your favorite creators and streamers, whether in Siege or not, could be some of the most prolific hackers to ever do it. So what can be done? Where does this fascinating segment for Rainbow Six Siege take the community? Well, for starters, nearly 50,000 accounts have been banned by BattlEye in 2020 alone, strictly for cheating. Exactly 47,898 accounts have been caught cheating and have been handed out a ban. Now, there are going to be some new ways of actually handling all of this, and it starts with data-based detection, which basically means the cheaters will finally be able to be caught with their stats. So, of course, Siege has BattlEye, and it's one of the best anti-cheats out there. But as players, it's almost too easy for us to spot a cheater if you take just one look at a player's stats. If you notice an enemy has been a 0.8 KD since Operation Velvet Shell back in year 2, and then all of a sudden his KD jumps up to a 3.0 overall, then you can tell something is wrong. This is something BattlEye currently lacks, and the reason is because it can be incredibly easy for the system to spot a false positive and issue out an unfair ban to a player that maybe did just get better at the game. Next, they'll be strengthening the bridge between BattlEye and Rainbow Six Siege, as well as increasing the barrier to entry for cheaters. They say, by increasing the barriers to entry for both the creators and buyers of cheats, our goal is to cancel out any benefits that could be gained and making it costly for them each time they try and act shady. So this goes back to the root of the issue. Believe it or not, cheat developers need certain software to do what they do, and so by making it costly and ineffective, sure, you're not stopping the cheats, but you could be making them harder and more tedious than ever to make, which will slow down the progression. And then finally, guys, they wrap it up by saying, we've already begun gearing up to settle in for a long and dirty fight against cheats and cheaters, and we'll always be on the lookout for new opportunities to grow and strengthen our line of defense. While we couldn't reveal all the measures that we and the anti-cheat team are working on in this blog, we want to take a moment to once again reaffirm our dedication to making Rainbow Six Siege a safe and fair competitive space for our players. So yeah, the devs are going to war this time. For Siege to continue to grow and be as competitive and profitable as possible, it must have a fair landscape, and so this will be Ubisoft's biggest attempt ever at making this happen. Again, I'll mention the console supporters here as well and say that keyboard and mouse use should be another box to check on that list, because some of this other stuff really isn't an issue on those platforms, but other inputs for sure are, and so hopefully that's another soldier gearing up here. The one shining light over all of this is that it has lit a fire up under Ubisoft, and it will make a safer experience for everyone involved. The last thing to, I guess, remember here is that a new reputation system is also being added to Siege that'll give players more control over the community in-game, and even though it may not be a cheater fix, it will help to reduce some of the toxicity in-game, which is also a wonderful update. Next up, guys, we're talking about one of the most anticipated games this year, and if you play Siege, you'll undoubtedly be looking at this one, but Rainbow Six Quarantine is next up here. So for those who haven't kept up, Quarantine will be a 3-man co-op shooter set within the universe of Rainbow Six Siege. It'll feature mechanics like leaning, unique gadgets, and destruction within the experience, but it'll also include many of the operators from Siege. So far, we know Vigil, Lion, and Ella will be featured in the game, and it's been leaked that some others like Lord Tachanka, Nomad, and even Maestro will be available to play as well. Now, if you guys didn't know, in just a few short weeks in mid-July, Ubisoft will be holding their Forward event, where we'll get new details on many of their upcoming titles, including Assassin's Creed Valhalla, but also on that list is Rainbow Six Quarantine, and I absolutely cannot wait. The only other time we got anything official was back at E3 2019 when the game was announced. We learned that Ubisoft wants it to be the co-op juggernaut the same way Siege is in the competitive space, and they're taking its development very serious because the game was actually supposed to be out by now with an expected release back in March of this year, but the devs pulled back on the release and came out with a statement that they wanted to increase the quality of a few of their games, with Quarantine being one of them. Now, recently a new leak has surfaced and we get a few tidbits of what to expect. Firstly, it will feature microtransactions very similar to what we see here in Siege, so weapon skins, uniforms, and headgear, as well as an alpha pack system of some kind. I would expect all of this stuff is cosmetic only because pay to win in multiplayer games, even co-op ones, can be unjust, and so my best assumption is that all this stuff will be to personalize your operators to how you like. Now, we also learn of a ranked mode, and this is interesting because personally, I've never heard of a ranked mode in a co-op only game. Obviously, this is a Rainbow Six game, right? And so you can expect there to be a level of difficulty that just isn't present in many other games, and with difficulty comes a competitive nature, and ranks are the best way to gauge that skill. Given that Quarantine is based around Siege, it only makes sense for it to include ranked because ranked is the most popular and most competitive playlist in Siege, and there's even some who believe that ranked is the true Siege experience with the rules that are built around it. Rainbow Six Quarantine actually comes from Outbreak, which was a limited time event in Siege that kicked off year 3 season 1, and is when Lion and Finka were introduced, and it was also the largest event ever in Siege, even up to today. Now, Outbreak was no slouch, and there were some enemies that really stood out, like the Smasher, who essentially birthed Nomad's air jab ability, but I think if you're looking towards Quarantine with doubt, I honestly think it's going to surprise us with how challenging and demanding of a co-op shooter it'll be. A recent leak that was released said the game focuses on teamwork, replayability, and tension, which for me is what a co-op shooter should be all about, and so you guys can expect more to come during the Ubisoft Forward event, and here's hoping they find a way to include my main, Haid. Last up here, guys, is a quick look at the brand new shooter that was just announced by Ubisoft called Scape. It's a futuristic battle royale that's actually been made using the Siege engine, and it's looking promising. Roll it. So what sets this game apart from the other battle royales is that it has a few twists on the popular mode. For starters, there are no shields, and a lot of people enjoy this because it means just less RNG while you're in a match. There's also some ways the game will change based on viewers' recommendations on Twitch. So for instance, viewers can agree to usher in an infinite ammo event or even a zero gravity period, and the remaining teams will have to play it out for a short time while it lasts. It's an innovative way to also include the millions of people who watch this kind of content online, and I think it makes for a dynamic offering here. Now, they've obviously put a lot of resources behind this, and from what I can tell, it looks like a polished product, and so there will be a lot more to come from this game, and I'm excited to see where it goes. You can try it out for yourself if you get a drop from watching a streamer play the game, kind of like Valorant, and it should be fully released by the end of this year. But I thought it'd be cool to check it out for the end of this video here, and so yeah, but that's gonna do it for our video today, guys. Here's another shout to go check out NVIDIA GeForce Now with the link in the description, and a big thank you to them for sponsoring our video. With that, guys, it's been Zen. Thanks for watching. I'm out.